Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Got a quick vinyl finds update for you guys today. Records I've picked up recently, been spinning, the usual jazz. First off though, I want to say a very special thank you for the response to some of my recent reggae focused videos. I've done it starting a ambitious series on the development of dub. I've never attempted kind of this multi-part series before, but I thought I would do it in kind of more approachable, more accessible kind of chapters. So I've been very humbled and pleased by the response to those. Thank you guys. And those will probably, videos will probably be a more prominent feature on the channel. And I'll spell them off with this kind of vinyl finds update with mixed genres, mixed styles, you know the drill. So we'll get right into it. One of my last trips into the city to hit the record stores, I happened to find this one in the new arrivals bin. Couldn't resist grabbing it. It is the Staple Singers soundtrack to the early 70s movie Let's Do It Again. Features their hit song of the title track and a mix of instrumentals and vocals, very funky, and produced by Curtis Mayfield for his Curtom label. Staple Singers. Of course, it started out as a gospel group before going secular and getting into their big hit period there of the late 60s, early 70s for Stax Records and others. Don't often find the Staple Singers in the wild, so I was pleased to come across that one. It's popped into a local antique store. It's just down the road from me, just in the nearest town here, and found a couple of things that look sort of interesting. It's kind of like that. There's not a lot there most of the time, but every once in a while there's that one thing that kind of piques your interest, and this one did that. You can tell right from the cover it's that late 60s psychedelic era. This is Green Light Sunday. I think this is 1969, 1970-ish RCA label. They were a group from the Dayton, Ohio area. Only ever put out this one LP produced by Peter Shelton, but apparently they were active around the city for quite some time until well into the 70s, playing gigs. But they rose out of members of the Circle. I think the Circle were best known for that song Red Rubber Ball, something like that. And lead singer and main songwriter is Jason Hollinger, along with female singer Susan Darby, who kind of spells him off. There's a couple of Laura Nyro covers on here, which they do an excellent job on, where Susan Darby takes over the lead vocals. Emmy, very lovely interpretation there. Woman's Blues, where she absolutely rips it and rocks out with this bluesy growl you would not expect to come from someone that looks like that. And just a mix of kind of psychedelic, kind of jazzy touches here, even a bit of funk in some of the drumming and the bass. Mix of styles, but much better on the whole than expected. Green Light Society, very nice album. Only album they ever put out. Another one I found at the same time was a Canadian album from around the same period. Again, rock, Simon Kane. Show that there, kind of a odd cover. If I met that guy on the bus or the train, I'd probably move a seat over. Kind of a weird stare, especially on the photo it's derived from. Group gigging around the Toronto scene. On the RCA Victor label, again around 1969-ish. Mix of styles on here, some blues rock, some horn rock. Apparently an early incarnation of this band had opened for Blood, Sweat and Tears, which kind of explains that, that horn rock influence in there. A bit of psych with the blazing kind of electric guitar flashes. Pretty nice rock album. Mix of styles, touches of jazz, touches of R&B and funk. Nice Toronto area album. This is an album I found in a local record store I hadn't been to before. Just kind of happened to discover it. Popped in, and I think this was in the $5 bin or whatever. I'd had a copy of this a while ago and got rid of it and kind of regretted letting this one go. So I was happy to grab another copy of it. It is My Goals Beyond, Mahavishnu John McLaughlin, the great jazz guitarist John McLaughlin, soon to found Mahavishnu Orchestra. Two-Eye Columbia, jazz guitar with very spiritual leanings, as you can tell, and released through the Douglas label. I'm always kind of intrigued by this label. Nice jazz guitar inspired by his spiritual guru at the time. getting into a few reggae pickups. A couple of videos back I showed Lee Perry's Disco Devil Volumes 1 to 3. There are some new compilations, brand new, released through the UK through producer Winston Edwards, whose relationship with Lee Perry goes back to the 1970s when Lee Perry was firing on all cylinders in his Black Ark studio, pumping out a furious flood of incredible music. First 3 volumes came out, I think, last year. There's now 2 more to the series. Disco Devil Volume 4 and Volume 5, chronicling 12-inch single mixes produced by Lee Scratch Perry in his Black Ark studio in Jamaica in the late 1970s. To collect the originals of these records would be nearly impossible in many cases. Very rare, very expensive. Reissues are your best bet, and to have them collected all on this series is a real treat. You get tracks like Augustus Pablo, Vibrate On, Carlton Jackson's Amazing History, Truth, Fact, and Correct, Babylon Dapon Fire, Junior Mervyn Tedious, and on Volume 5, the incredible Twin Roots, No Love, one of my very favorite Black Ark tracks, one of those songs that gives you goosebumps on your arms no matter how many times you hear it. Waddy Burnett's Rainy Night in Portland, and even one I've only ever had on CDR compilation, Michael Campbell's Schoolgirl, Michael Campbell aka Mikey Dread. One-off tune he did for Lee Perry at the Black Ark. To have all these on vinyl, very nice collections. I've been not overly blown away by the sound quality on these. They put, I think, 3 tracks on each side at anywhere from 5 minutes to 9 minutes per track. Maybe that's stretching the limits of audio fidelity from the 12-inch mixes, but can't really quibble too much. And these 2 volumes mostly were pretty good. Getting back to the record store finds, this is one I actually found a while back, still sealed in the discount bins. It's a reissue, quite a recent reissue. The Maytones, they're a group I've spoken of before. Harmony Duo, unusual 2-man harmony group from Jamaica, which, tended to be the 3-man group based on the Impressions model. They were what's known as country reggae, not really anything to do with country music, but they were from rural Maypen in Jamaica. They had that very laid-back, more mellow, more reflective style of harmonies. They were heavily associated with producer Alvin Gigi Ranglin. And this one is very much similar to their classic albums Madness and Boat to Zion, which I've definitely picked up not too long ago, probably showed several videos back. Nice reissue from the Burning Sounds label. Shout out to Audiopile Records there, where I found this one in their discount bins. Always worth a look. This one has a slightly more updated sound, I guess. It wasn't originally released till the early 1980s. Sound is a bit earlier on that. I would think late 70s for these tracks. Recorded at Channel 1 Studios, backed by the Revolutionaries with that very recognizable sound. And this edition actually includes liner notes and a bonus 12-inch with some of their big hits on it. So, very nice package here. Reissue. This is one a couple of years ago. Another blog, Funk My Soul, based out of Greece. I think they're actually going defunct very soon. I saw something posted recently. They had asked me to review this reggae album by Alton Ellis, the great singer Alton Ellis. Album called Love to Share, which was released in the late 1970s in the UK. I didn't have this album, not even on CDR format. They kindly provided it to me. Very recently I was able to pick up an original vinyl copy. It has actually been reissued fairly recently, and I was thinking about picking up the reissue when this original came up. Originally released on the Third World label out of the UK. Love to Share by the great Alton Ellis. Late 1970s session produced by the great Jackie Mattu along with Junior Lincoln. Jackie Mattu does the arranging, recorded in the UK with that kind of lovers rock, even a bit of R&B and a doo-wop feeling in some of the tracks. Updates his Alton Ellis' own Let Him Try, which I think he originally recorded for Studio One. Just a very great late night, laid back, album for that time in the dances when the music's getting slower, the couples are dancing closer, just that sweet spot at the end of the night. Great album. Nice to finally have that on original after having written about it already previously. And that store where I found the Mahavishnu John album, I found one more reggae thing I was surprised to see in their new arrivals bin. Dennis Brown, Wolf and Leopards, from 1977, 78-ish, I think. He was all of about 20 years old when this came out. Astonishingly mature. And this is a Jamaican pressing on Weed Beat, the Weed Beat label. I already have an original UK pressing of this that he put out on his own DEB music label, as well as a later reissue. So this is like my third vinyl copy, plus probably got it on CD somewhere. But absolutely one of his finest, most stellar albums. Don't mind buying it again at all. Dennis Brown, Wolf and Leopard, title track, one of his classics, along with Emmanuel, his middle name, Dennis Emmanuel Brown. Here I Come, Whip Them Jaja, created by the father in kind of a more sprightly update than his Studio One original. He recorded when he was about 13, and that's just side one. Back-to-back classics, one of his very finest albums, original Jamaican pressing. Couldn't pass that up. Very cheap price too. So that's it for new vinyl finds. Reading, just finished this book actually. I found this in the thrift store. Can't Stop, Won't Stop, A History of the Hip Hop Generation by Jeff Chang. Very good read. Quite sociological, socio-political in nature, more so than strictly music focused, more cultural based as it relates to the music and the culture of hip hop, and various factors that gave rise to it. I remember seeing this in the bookstore when it was new and thinking about picking it up. Never got around to it. So when I saw it in the thrift store, couldn't help but grab it. Quite a involving read. Will probably fuel a future video down the road. And just arrived. I've just started cracking into this one. Brand new, hot off the press. King Alpha's song In a Strange Land by Jason Wilson. This is a history of reggae in Canada, so of particular interest to me. Got lots of photos in there. I know some people I know personally are thanked in the, are factoring in the index here, so kind of nice to see some familiar names. I'm definitely connected to a few of these people, so very cool. Show you some pictures here from the Toronto scene. Good old Jackie Matu. It's a brand new book, just came out very recently. Carl Harvey right there, friends on Facebook with him. Lead guitarist for the Toots and the Maytall Band. Mighty Pope. Friend of mine is very close personal friends with him. Looking very dapper. So this should be a very engaging read. Can't say I've seen a history of reggae in Canada before. I'm excited to dig into that. So that's what I've got for you today, guys. Again, want to thank everybody for checking out the reggae-focused videos. Will definitely be many more of them. Just takes a little time to prepare those, a little more so than sitting down and showing you what records I've picked up recently. A little more time to listen, process, do some research. But definitely will continue to crank those out as fast as I can. So cheers, guys. Thanks for tuning in. As always, hope everybody's doing well out there. Peace.